In this video, we're going to be talking about possessive adjectives in French. Now, possessive adjectives, the way that they work is kind of different than you might think, and so that's why we need to do this video, because we need to talk about the special ways that you use possessive adjectives and how you tell which one that you use. Now, in order to figure out which possessive adjective you're going to use, obviously you're going to start with deciding whether you're using my, your, and for our French purposes, we got your singular or your informal, okay, whichever one that's going to be. His and hers, our, your is in the plural your, or the formal your, and their. So once you've decided which one of those possessive adjectives it is that you're going to use, then you need to figure out whether the noun that is being, that you're using the adjective for is masculine, feminine, masculine singular, feminine singular, or plural. And this is very important because you need to use the correct one. So how you determine which one you're going to use is based on the gender of the item that is being possessed, not the person who possesses it. So it doesn't matter if the person is masculine or feminine who is possessing it. It depends on whether the item being possessed is masculine or feminine. So here's our chart for what they all are. Okay, so this is our masculine singular forms, our feminine singular forms, and plural. Okay, if it's plural, it doesn't matter whether it's masculine or feminine. You're going to use just this column. So let's go through our pronunciation with all of these. So we've got mon, ma, mes, ton, ta, and tes, son, sa, and c'est, notre, notre, and nos, votre, votre, and vos, leur, leur, and leur. Now you may have noticed in looking at this chart that in this section right here, it's the same for masculine and feminine. That's correct. So you don't really need, if you're going to use any of these possessive adjectives, you don't need to worry whether it's masculine or feminine. You only have to worry whether it's plural or singular. Also, you may have noticed something that can tell you if you may have been confused with the singular informal form or the plural formal form. Okay, so this is the one you use with tu, and this is the one that you use with vous. You probably figured that out by the first letter here, using the T and using the V. But I just thought I'd point that out just to make it understood that that's which subject you're using it with. So as I said before, you need to make sure that you're taking into account the gender of the item that is being possessed, not the person who's being possessed, who is possessing it. So if it's somebody who's feminine who is possessing something that's masculine, you're going to use the masculine form. If it's somebody who's masculine who is possessing something that is feminine, you're going to use the feminine form. So with that chart that I just had on the board, that might be something that you might want to take down, make note of, copy into a notebook or something so that you can always reference it later. So if you need to rewind back to where I've got that chart up, go ahead and do it and copy down that chart. But now we're going to do a couple examples. Our first example is going to be with a male. Okay, his name's Robert. Okay, and we're talking about his car. Now, our word for car in French is voiture. So we need to determine, we're talking about his car. So that's going to be our form that we use for his. Now we need to determine what gender voiture is. Now, based on our rules that I talked about in determining genders using definite and indefinite articles, if you look at this word, you see that it ends in an E, so you can assume that it's going to be feminine. And yes, it is. Okay, voiture is feminine. So we want to use the feminine form that is singular for Robert's voiture, then it's going to be sa voiture. All right, this has nothing to do with whether Robert is masculine or feminine. It has all to do about whether voiture is masculine or feminine. Let's do another example. All right, we're going to talk about Alice and her vélo. Vélo is means a bicycle or a bike. All right, so if you look at vélo, you're going to take into account those rules that the general rule that we talked about determining whether something's masculine or feminine. We look at this. It doesn't end in an E, so we can assume that it's going to be masculine, and it is. Okay, it's le vélo. Now, Alice is going to be talking in first person. She's going to say it's my vélo. All right, so we're using the masculine singular form. So it's going to be mon vélo. All right, even though Alice is a female, that doesn't have anything to do with what possessive adjective you use as far as whether it's masculine or feminine. The gender is only here with vélo. And vélo is masculine, so you're going to use the masculine singular form, which is mon. So this is how you're going to determine any kind of possessive adjective that you're going to use with an item. All right, you come back, you go to that chart and determine which one it is you're going to use, depending on how you're using it. So if you have any questions on how to do this, you can talk to me before, after, or during class. You can also email me questions. You can also make comments in the video below. And feel free to rewatch this video as many times as you need in order to understand it, in order to copy down the chart, or use these examples. And I will see you in class.